Hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I am going to talk about a couple things. The first thing I'm going to talk about is variegation, something really interesting that has been going on here in La Casa de Paul the Plant Parent. And then I will do some updates on some things that you guys have seen, if you've been following, that you've seen recently, just to see how they're doing. But the first thing I want to talk about is the variegation. So what we have here in this planter up here is, this was originally a cutting that was probably about this long, and it's a pothos. It is a jade pothos. There is no variegation on this, just plain old green, right? And when I got the cutting, a friend of mine went on vacation and found a cutting and just decided to bring it back for me. And so I put it right into some acrylic yarn. It rooted and went nuts. As you can see, the roots everywhere. It's been in here for a couple of years now, and it's been thriving. It's been doing well. You know, when it dries out and I forget to water it, it kind of wilts a little bit, but it bounces back, and it has grown a lot, as you can see. This is just one strand. I haven't cut it to propagate or anything. I just keep letting it grow and grow and grow. The interesting thing I want to share with you is this originally was a jade pothos, right? Well, the most recent leaf that has come out is an interesting variegated leaf. Now, this is not a normal golden pothos. This is not a normal marble queen pothos. This is very interesting. It has different shades of green and cream. And let me get closer so you guys can see it. It's just really interesting and really cool. So this just popped up out of nowhere. I guess this is how some natural mutations happen. And I don't know if it's going to continue with it, but I am going to watch it. And if the next leaf that comes out is not variegated, I will cut this and try to propagate it to see if I can isolate this, because it's a really interesting, sorry for shaking it so much, a really interesting variegation. Yeah, I just want to share with you, because when I saw this leaf unfurl, I was so excited, and I just thought, where did that come from? I'm so excited that this just happened out of nowhere. And you can see like all the prior leaves have nothing on them. So I don't even know where the variegation is on this stem. Let's see if we can see the variegation. Sometimes you can see the stripe of variegation, and I can't confirm that. But anyway, I just think this is really, really cool when something like this just pops out of nowhere. And, you know, some variegation is induced. You know, a lot of it is propagated through tissue culture so that they can get really interesting combinations of variegation. This is just a naturally occurring mutation that just popped up out of nowhere. So I really, really like this leaf a lot. I wanted to document it in case no other leaves come out like this. And then after the next leaf or two comes out, if there isn't any variegation, I will try to propagate this puppy to get more variegation, to see what this is going to look like as it matures. I just really, really got excited, and I wanted to show you guys. So that is the pothos that just kind of popped up out of nowhere, right? Variegation. Another variegation that I want to show you is something that I had shown you guys recently. I think it was a couple months ago. This was a purple heart. It was a variegated purple heart, which is the pink stripe, and except it was a completely pink or whitish looking sport. This is what the leaves used to look like, completely variegated, completely white. It's not even variegated, it's just a white or pinkish cream. And the less light it got a little bit greener. Like this leaf here, you can see it's a little bit greener, but it's still not the typical olive green that that the species tends to get when it's not in full sun. The new leaves that came out, similar, they started to get some green, some more green. You can see this one here looks like our normal pink stripe, but a lot of the leaves are kind of a solid, and depending on the light, it'll either be this kind of color, which is like a purplish green, still not the same as the normal purple heart or the pink stripe. But then the more light it gets, it's just a solid, I I guess it's a purple, but it's not a deep purple like the Purple Heart. It's almost like that pink, but just a little bit of a different color. So just very unique. I wanted to isolate it. It was a small little cutting when I took it. It has grown since, not as fast as normal Purple Heart because the obviously the chlorophyll is limited in something like this, but still very interesting, and I want to see what happens with it. So I'm continuing to grow this out. It's in lava rock semi-hydro, doing fine. I also found another one of the same, and I put this one in acrylic yarn, and it was one cutting that I accidentally broke the tip off when I was moving things around. So I replanted the tip back in the acrylic yarn. It rooted, and we've got new leaves there, and you can see how little chlorophyll is on this. This is how it started out, right? This main cutting started out like that with very little chlorophyll. You can see the older leaves kind of show that still. The newer leaves are coming out like this, especially when there's a lot of light, like a pink, and then they fade to kind of like a light green, which again is not typical for the Purple Heart. Usually it is an olive green that turns into a deep purple. So I'm interested to see how this one continues to grow, especially because it's maintaining itself with minimal chlorophyll. But one interesting thing that I've noticed, even though these leaves have very little chlorophyll, it's almost like it's finding ways to multiply its chlorophyll so that it can survive. Not that it's reverting back, because all the new leaves still come out without any green. I just find this really interesting, and I don't know what's going to happen. For all I know, it could just totally revert and become a normal green and Purple Heart plant, Tradescantia pallida. Or this could just be something very unique that has a very light green leaf in no sun, and then just completely pink leaves in full sun. We will see, but it is sustaining itself. It's figuring out how to distribute the chlorophyll it does have in order to survive. So I'm just really excited about this because I don't know what's going to happen. You know me, I love experiments. So this could be something, this could be nothing. But I want you guys to see everything that happens so that you'll kind of follow along and you'll know. So that's that. I had shown you guys before. Sticking with the variegation, this was an emerald ripple peperomia. It's Peperomia caperata. And I had purchased this through mail order. And, you know, typical green, crinkly leaves for the ripple peperomia. But an offshoot from the main plant came in variegated. This is a natural variegation. Look at this. We've got, this leaf was that bright. It's starting to darken a little bit as it ages. This is a newer leaf. Look at how beautiful that marble coloration is. There's another leaf there. And you can see, let me get closer so you guys can see. You can see in there are multiple plants. This one that's closest to us is the plant that has the variegation. Okay, the other side is normal. This is light yellow, light green, almost yellowish, but I think that's just because it was not getting any light on this side. Could be wrong, but then you get this. So I just find this fascinating. The great thing about peperomia is that you don't have to worry or wait for this to grow leggy so that you can take a stem cutting. You could take leaf cutting. So of course, as this peperomia grows out a little bit and the leaves mature, I will be taking these variegated leaves. I have like 4 of them, I think. And I will be propagating them, maybe even more. There's one back here too. Look at that one. Can you see that there? It's a little bit disfigured, but yeah, that's still another one. These plants I love. These are just awesome plants. So yeah, just another example of a natural mutation in an offshoot from the normal natural green plant. I just love when stuff like this happens. And I'm sure that this is how a lot of our variegation or variegated plants come about. When they're not induced, they just kind of happen naturally. And through natural selection in the wild, they don't typically survive as well as the normal green varieties. So you don't really see many of them in the wild, if any at all. But in people's homes, we love to keep these type. We select for them so we can have complete plants with this variegation, this mutation. So I'm going to do that as well. I did order a ripple peperomia that is, I think it's called Freckles. It is variegated, which looks similar to this, except it's not as marbly. It doesn't have as much white or cream on it as this one that isn't supposed to be. So I find that interesting, and I want to continue and propagate off of this. So really, really fun, really cool, and it just shows what's possible, right? These yellowish leaves or light green leaves, I'm not sure if this is also a mutation. Like I said, I thought it was because it wasn't getting a lot of light, but it could be some type of a mutation. Let me bring this up to light so you can see it. Some type of a mutation that I've never seen before, which is a light green and a dark green. You see that leaf right there in the middle? It's light green and dark green. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that just to see. I'm also gonna feed it in case it's you know, malnutrition that's causing that color. But I definitely know this is a variegation here. So I'm just excited to see. This whole plant has so many interesting parts to it. So we'll see what happens with these. Maybe we got something new here. Maybe we don't. We definitely have variegation here, so I'm glad about that. Yeah, ripple peperomia, peperomia caperata. All right, next up we have something that I did on camera, which is I took my Groot planter, I put sphagnum moss in there, and I put these little cuttings of the Tradescantia pallida Blue Sue, not Purple Heart, but Blue Sue. I don't know if you remember, but the cuttings I put in here were similar to this color, which is completely sun bleached. The Blue Sue, when it gets a very bright indirect light, has a bluish hue with an outline of purple around the leaves, but with too much sun, it becomes this kind of, I don't even know what you'd call this. It's almost a purple, but it's almost like a brown purple. I don't even know how to explain it. But this is what happens when this plant gets too much sun. It doesn't kill the plant, it just doesn't look the way it was intended to look. But removing these from the sun, you can see they're coming back into that bluish green of the Blue Sue. These were the old leaves. As you can see, the color has stayed the same from the old leaves. New leaves look the way that they're supposed to. Blue Sue, really pretty. And you can see, if you followed along, those cuttings have grown relatively quickly. They always do. In a minute, I'm also going to add more cuttings because, you know, there's empty space in here now and this needs to be watered. So I took a cutting off of the sun-bleached mother plant that has two of these little pups on it. So I'm going to pull those off and put them into the moss as well as this one, just to fill it up a little bit. But obviously the leaves aren't going to be the same color until these guys grow out and get the blue-green. So yeah, you can see how fast these grow, even in dry moss. Here how crackly it is. These guys are semi-succulent, so they survive, they do great. They grow fast. I love this plant as well. So yeah, this is Paul's favorite plant video. Kidding. All right, last but not least, this is something that this is also a Peperomia caperata. I believe this is supposed to be Gray Ripple or Luna Gray. I'm not really sure. It didn't come with a tag, but it definitely looks like Luna Gray caperata, Ripple Peperomia. So I've taken this out of the soil and I put it into water culture. It has not wilted, hasn't done anything bad, except grow a new little growth point there, as you can see. This one was the rescue. You see it coming off the side. All of the new growth point that was on top, I guess this was overwatered in the store. And that's why I bought it, because I said I can't let this die because this is one of my favorite plants, the Ripple Peperomia. So I put it into water culture just because I don't have any Peperomia in water culture. And I figured everyone loves water culture so much, or not everyone, but a lot of people. So let me transfer this just to show it's possible with this as well. And as you can see, it's got some new growth. And it looks like on this side too, see between those leaves, there's another new growth coming up, a little green sprout there. I don't know if you can see it. You can see it that way there. So, so yeah, water culture with Peperomia as well. You can do magic. I can't do that for copyright laws. But anyway, yeah, I'm very excited about this. These plants are just really cool. And they do well, obviously, in water. They do well. I don't like them in soil because inevitably for me, they always end up, maybe it's the soil that they're in when I get them because I keep them in the pot, but inevitably they always end up rotting from the roots to the plant. So I take them out. They do fine in water. They do fine in semi-hydro. They do fine in acrylic yarn. They just do great, and they are non-toxic, and they come in all kinds of colors, from the Shumi red, which is the deep red, the emerald like this, the Luna gray like this. I have Luna red. I also have Abrico, which is kind of like reddish on the darker maroon on the inside with a light reddish on the outside. I have so many different varieties, and I just love them. They're all really cool. Anyway, I'm talking too much. I just wanted to share this with you guys and show you, number one, how amazing plants are when it comes to variegation and mutations, and how resilient they are in adjusting to try to survive, like these guys here. And just to follow up on what we've been working on, I'm gonna add these after the video because I don't have my tripod set up right now, and I only have one hand. So what I'm gonna do is just pull these off of the stem and just nestle them in, and then water everything. So 1, 2, 3 new additions to this planter, and then this should be great. Anyway, if you have any questions on the variegations that I showed in this video, or any of the plants you see, Peperomia, Triscantia pallida, or the pothos, which originally was a jade, which I don't know what this would be called now, but it's definitely not a jade anymore. Anyway, reach out, we'll talk. I love talking plants, you guys know that. If you have any comments you want to make about your own plants, I'd love to hear. If you have something similar going on, I think that's really cool. I would love to hear that. So reach out and we'll talk. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit that bell if you want to be notified, and I will see you in the next video.